Hey guys, I want to do a quick little video on metabolism. We talked about this briefly in the past. We went through an entire short series that really addressed what is metabolism, how do we increase ours, or some of the genetics behind that, how do we even estimate what our metabolism is. But there's a much bigger issue, I think, that a lot of us need to first of all address, and that is what can the metabolism do if we're either under eating or I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to overuse or trying not to use this phrase metabolic damage and so forth because it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It has, I think, been retracted everywhere it's been used by now, but still, we get a ton of clients who bring us that kind of label for themselves. They'll come to us and say, "Hey, my metabolism's damaged. It's ruined." They have all these catastrophic terms, and I just want to address that a little bit and talk about why that's probably the dumbest thing you could ever say. So never use that phrase again. But there is some fear there that's real, and we just have to address it. So first of all, I'm not going to dump a bunch of citations on you here. We can do that through the thread as people want to discuss this. But I want you to know that when you eat less than your body needs, you lose weight. When you eat more than your body uses, you gain weight. That's the simple math. That's where we can start. Then we can dive into some of the nuances of, well, can the metabolism decrease and so forth. So let me start out just by saying this. In answer to a question that I received recently, I posted pictures of very graphic depictions of Auschwitz and Birkenau and some of the places that we had experienced death camps and so forth, more than 6 million people being exterminated and so forth. And in that process, of course, there were millions and millions of people who were just part of the work camp experience. And you can go to Wikipedia, just Google Nazism, do anything from that era, and you will see millions and millions of people who weigh 50, 60, 70 pounds. Their skin and bones. You can see pictures of piles and piles of corpses, and you will never see one normal weight or overweight person because their metabolism was damaged and they just stopped losing weight. When you eat less, you get leaner, and if you keep eating less, you get really lean, and then you starve to death. And if that's not a grotesque enough image for you, look at what many of our young people face. Here is a French actress who was in an advertisement for anorexia, and this went around. I think she's French, but this was maybe in Italy. And these kinds of things are struggled with all around the world, every day, even in America. And not to make this all about anorexia and eating disorders, those are tragic, but when you eat too little, that's what you will end up like. So if you're struggling to lose weight and you're thinking, my goodness, I've been dieting for a month, 2 months, I've only lost a couple pounds, my metabolism is broken, it's damaged, it's ruined, that's what you will look like if you truly eat less. So I want to get to some practical help for you, but I first want to continue discussing some of the things we do know about metabolism. When you go on a very low-calorie diet, which is a medical term that's used to describe 500 calories or less, and this is a medically prescribed diet sometimes by surgeons, by clinics like the Mayo Clinic and the Cleveland Clinic for people who need emergency-type surgeries, and yet they're too overweight to withstand that kind of trauma, so the doctors will do this. Sometimes it's a liquid diet, sometimes even intravenously, but just 500 calories enough to keep you alive. And if you do that, if you were to eat 500 calories for an extended period of time, meaning 8 to 12 weeks, you will start seeing a gradual suppression of your metabolism, not damage. Damage assumes something is broken and irreparable. We'll get to that in a second. But they're just simply suppressed, and the metabolism will rebound. Now, one of the things you have to remember is how much underreporting happens in studies, and when you hear stories about, well, this person said they were hardly eating anything and they didn't lose weight. Well, again, we can get clinical evidence of basal metabolic rate very simply. You can go somewhere, get your basal metabolic rate tested through gas respiration, through metabolic carts and so forth. If you want to pay somebody a couple $100, To do that clinically, you can prove that your metabolism is not damaged, maybe just suppressed, maybe not at all. Maybe it's just because we need to add different forms of accuracy to your food tracking and consistency, of course. So the way that you can suppress your metabolism is by truly undereating or doing too much cardiovascular work, too much training, over exercising. But it takes a substantial amount of time. It takes months and months and months of consistently doing that. And there are things that have much, much bigger impact on your metabolism than just that. Number one is your body composition. When you are as lean as that anorexic sufferer I showed you, your metabolism is going to be less because your body is in true starvation mode. It's cellularly giving your brain signals to conserve everything. And so if you are that lean, or obviously maybe not quite that far, but you're way under your metabolic set point, if you're a male and you're under 6 or 7% body fat, as a female you're under 10, 12% body fat, then yes, your metabolism will be lower. I've mentioned myself as a case study here and there because I like to give some relevance and some comparative data. But when I was at my heaviest, 200 pounds, the year before I won my pro card, I took an extended off season, did a lot of powerlifting. Really, I had to work hard to get my body weight up to 200 pounds on such a small frame. But I was eating about 2,800 calories and started losing weight on 2,800 calories when I wanted to reverse myself back into contest shape. Now we've discussed that my metabolism is around 22 to 2,300 calories because I'm a good 25 pounds less than that. Now, at my contest shape, I would be eating about 300 to 400 calories, even less than that, just because my body composition is lower. Body fat cells, the volume inside that adipose tissue, is the biggest regulator of what your brain is getting regarding feedback, and that in turn impacts the endocrine system, thyroid output, things like that. And that's how we regulate how much metabolism we're actually increasing or decreasing in terms of need. So body composition is the main thing. If you are under your metabolic set point, if you're really lean, then yes, you're going to be eating less, and that's just life. You deal with that. That's adaptation, that's suppression in a normal sense, but it's not damage. Now, somebody who has come off of a diet and they've gained a bunch of weight back just because they've been overeating and binging, that's not damage. That's you binging and overeating. So what you need to do, if you've unfortunately put yourself in that situation, is go back to almost dieting, because now your body's in that lower metabolic state still, and you've got all this unwanted regained body fat. So that's where you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot if you don't go through a very slow metabolic rebuilding phase. But let's get back to what you guys can do. First of all, if you really truly suppress your metabolism by dieting too hard, too long, then you're going to have to deal with just that slow metabolic rebuild. It's going to take time. But that means you will have dieted for probably 6 to 12 months aggressively. I really don't see true metabolic suppression in a negative sense, in an abnormal sense, for people that haven't dieted for more than a year. When somebody's been dieting for a year or more, I'll start to see it. Their body starts fighting them no matter where they are. I've seen it over and over for 20 years. But you're in that 6 to 9, even 12-month range, you're probably doing fine if you're giving yourself some higher carb days and relaxed meals, that kind of thing, some small breaks in there. So you guys have to be just diligent with your accuracy and your tracking. That's the main thing. And you have to know, again, that metabolism can range dramatically. We're talking about swings from somebody who can only use 1,000 or 1,200 calories a day, and that's normal for their metabolic capacity, their endocrine system, and people who are eating 6,000 or 7,000 calories a day. That's just the metabolic continuum that we deal with genetically. So tracking and accuracy is key. Doing some experimentation with macronutrients. We've got tons of articles and even videos on that. But I just wanted to bring this out there as kind of a starting point to have this part of the conversation regarding metabolism, and that is metabolic damage does not exist. If you even want to use that term, I would say it has to be related to thyroid insufficiency. about 5% of the human population has thyroid insufficiency, and therefore you could benefit from hormone replacement type things using Synthroid, other types of medications. So that's probably a good place to start. I'll let you guys go for now, but let's continue this conversation. Let's talk about some of that real data on metabolism and so forth, and we'll just go from there. So thanks, guys. Have a great week.